What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune in and to the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to discuss a subject that a lot of people are not really paying a whole lot of attention to, right? And that is how LeBron James is failing to build a lasting business empire, right? For when he retires. And I like to use Magic Johnson as an example. People think that once you are as an athlete, like once an athlete is handed a lot of money, that it's pretty much in the bag. Like the money and the situations as far as business is going to take care of itself because they think that investing is all that there is. Is all that there is when it comes to business. Like you gotta have the money to be able to go into business, right? And so that's why I want to use Magic Johnson to as an example because it's not just about money, and I'm probably going to say this a bunch of times throughout this video, but business is about relationships, right? And so you can have a large social media following in this era like what LeBron James do, and you can have right now a lot of money, right? As LeBron James do right now because he's a player. But social media and money together don't mean that once your career is over with as a professional athlete that you're going to be successful, right? And so that's where relationships come into play because relationships allow you into certain arenas where you get to operate and you get to you get to participate. Because if you don't have relationships in business, then basically you'll find yourself being somebody like a Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather was not he wasn't a businessman. Floyd Mayweather was, in my opinion, he just all he was a consumer, right? Because Floyd thought that money was everything and clout was everything. And so he chased the wrong things. And now you hear, that's all you hear about is how Floyd Mayweather is going into he's going into debt. So it's not the same thing. And so that's why I say I like to use Magic Johnson as an example because Magic Johnson, the way he is doing things and the way he has done things, I think for a player like LeBron James, it would be wise for him to follow that type of Magic Johnson as an example. You know, I've seen LeBron James do some things throughout his career, which he made some mistakes as on the court, right? And so I'm thinking that if you're making certain mistakes on the court, and these mistakes point out the fact that he's not really knowledgeable of the history of the game of basketball, right? Because if he knew the history of the game, then he certain things or certain moves that he made, he wouldn't have made, right? And it's the same thing with business. Like you have to have a almost like a role model or a mentor or somebody to follow behind to show you the do's and don'ts when it comes to business, right? And so because money, like I said, is not going to fix all of your issues when it comes to business. Now, while it's true that that LeBron James has more followers than Magic Johnson, it's also true that Magic Johnson is more powerful than LeBron James, especially in the business world, right? Because if you think about it, today's athletes, and not just today's athletes, but a lot of athletes chase these endorsement checks, right? And the endorsement checks are good as long as you are a athlete, a current athlete, and you're playing. But once you retire and you step away from basketball, like LeBron James is getting ready to do pretty soon, those endorsement checks are going to slow up. And I know people say, well, Nike have a Mike LeBron James and Nike have a lifetime deal going, right? And what people don't realize about these lifetime deals, because I just seen like Steph Curry had almost the same deal as what LeBron James had, but Steph Curry had it with Under Armour, right? They say lifetime, but number one, the deal is contingent upon like what your popularity is, right? So if you look at if you look at the popularity of Michael Jordan, like Jordan brand, his sneakers and his merch still sell. And so Mike still gets, you know, Mike still gets, he still get paid like that because Mike is very popular. But for instance, if LeBron James, once he's away from the league, his popularity slows down, then he'll get, he'll get paid according to what his popularity is. So it's that people say, well, he's got $1 billion deal over the lifetime with Nike. Not true. Not totally true because there's stipulations in there and it's performance based. Like they're not going to give LeBron James $1 billion if his brand slips and for some reason he's not worth $1 billion, right? So that's the thing about that, and that's the thing with like endorsement deals. If you think about it, I remember when Magic Johnson was playing basketball and he had sponsors just like what LeBron James have now. I can recall Magic Johnson having deals with Converse. I can recall Magic Johnson having deals with restaurants like McDonald's and stuff like that, right? You don't see Magic Johnson like those deals. He don't do those deals no more, right? Because he's not as number one that fan base that he'd appeal to as far as like people who buy Converses. They're not looking to Magic Johnson now, because he's off the court. So the brand he outgrew that brand basically, right? And he don't do McDonald's and stuff like that anymore. So that is one of the dangers of doing not a danger, but that's like one of the one of the risk or I should say for lack of a better word of doing like brand deals because sometimes you outgrow these brands, these companies, and you can no longer do business with them. So that means that you have to have other relationships that will allow you into different rooms in order for you to make money, right? Because other than that, you're basically just a consumer. And so that's why I said the what Magic Johnson as a blueprint demanding equity, over like aesthetics and stuff like that, demanding equity over like clout on social media. And a lot of what I see like what's going on with LeBron James right now as a player with him and Rich Paul and Maverick Carter, they're more so based and doing things from a social media standpoint. Like that's their business model. I think that they're under the impression that as long as we have money and we have social media, then we can do business like that. Which I think, well, I know that it's not a good business plan, and so I don't care like how much provocative and extreme things that Rich Paul say on social media. That's not going to be enough to make LeBron James and be able to build an empire off of that. It's just not going to work that way. And so with this social media, we in an era where being a brand is prioritized over like owning and operating and stuff like that. And so you see a lot of elite athletes focus more so on their brand than ownerships and focus more so on like I said earlier in the video, focusing more so on sponsors and things like that. Whereas though that's not really the way because after a while, your brand you know, your brand is not what's going to get you into these rooms, right? Your brand is basically limiting you, and your brand can only make you someone who is basically a pitch man for whatever product or service you're trying to advertise for somebody else, right? And that's not what Magic Johnson is all about. Magic Johnson is more so about having ownership, right? And so how do you get ownership? Like I said, ownership comes with more than just money. Like people think that, all right, let me say this. Say like for instance, if LeBron James wanted to buy a professional basketball team and this team was cost like $12 billion and some kind and LeBron just so happened to have $12 billion. LeBron still would have to, in order to sit at the table with the rest of the owners, he still would have to get the approval of the rest of the owners, even if he had that money. So they can still freeze, just like they can freeze you out of ownership, even though you had the money. That's the same thing. What people don't realize with business, right? even if you have the money, it's not like you going to Walmart and you see something on the shelf, you can pick it up. But business don't work like that. You have to have relationships in order to be able to get you in these rooms. And branding is not really going to be like that. That's that, and I like to use Magic Johnson as an example because Magic Johnson, people always used to say, well, Magic Johnson, he smiled too much and all that stuff. But Magic Johnson, the whole time, always realized that it was about relationships, right? Big business is about relationships. And if you don't have these relationships with people who are in business, you're not going to be able to get in these rooms. You're not going to be able to do big business deals. And for some reason, this new generation think that it's all about building your brand. Now, building your brand is cool and it's fine if you want to focus primarily on social media. But when you want to, if you're a billionaire and you want to stay a billionaire, you need to be able to get in the game with these guys and play hardball. I mean, it even worked. I used to see here about like business deals in the rap business, in the rap game, right? If you wanted to be a big rap, you wanted to be big in rap, people used to pay radio stations to play their music, right? And if you had money from other sources, for some people used to be in the streets and they had money, so they could be like, all right, well, let me get this DJ or this radio station to play my money. It's called pay for play, right? Because that'll put me out there if I'm able to, to buy my way in. That's how a lot of, that's how some guys got on with rap because they paid to play. But other than that, if they couldn't pay to get in, then they wouldn't have, a lot of guys wouldn't have been able to make it. So it's the same thing in business, man. You gotta have these relationships in order for you to um to be able to sit at the table. And a lot of what I'm seeing from LeBron James is not about him having these relationships. A lot of what I'm seeing from LeBron James and Rich Paul, like I said, his crew, they're more so focused on the social media part of it, trying to build a brand or shape a brand in a certain way, control their narratives, and instead of building relationships. When LeBron James has been in the NBA for 23 years, he should have relationships with certain people outside of, off the court, people that are going to allow LeBron James and help LeBron James to be able to make money in other places. And I know a lot of people say, well, he's a famous athlete, but a lot of people, once you come off of that basketball court, they don't care about your championship rings and how many playoff series you won and stuff like that. People want to see, they want relations because it's personal with these believe it or not, these relationships are personal. So they want to, your character and all these things come into play and relationships come into play. And so I just think that once LeBron James retire, we're going to see that LeBron James, he spent a lot of time focusing and trying to take shortcuts, even on the court and off the court. I think that he thought that he could take shortcuts, and these shortcuts are going to come back and bite him. And so LeBron James, in my opinion, can be used as a model of what not to do as an athlete on and off the court. So I just wanted to make this video just to kind of give people, something else to think about and a heads up and to watch moving forward. Like once LeBron James retire and see, how his business decisions or how his decisions in his early life are going to play out once LeBron James step away from basketball. And so that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.